Yo, what's up, guys? Your boy KFB23 on the YT, and today we're reacting to a Jimmy High Roller video. The NBA fans are ready to hear the truth. I wonder what the truth is. Ain't gonna lie. Please like and subscribe. Also, please go like and subscribe to his channel because this is probably a fire video. All right, let's get started.
The good old hot take. The necessary evil of the sports world. Through the good ones, the bad ones, and the downright atrocious ones, we once again find ourselves
Taking Harden over Giannis. It's not a bad take.
our brains trying to figure out how some people come up with this
Not
nonsense. But today, I've done the brain racking for you and found some of the hottest NBA takes on the internet. So, buckle up. This may be a bumpy ride. Today's video is brought to you by SeatGeek. With the tickets are a bad deal, I've been using your ticket at all. So it's been a couple months since our last edition of NBA Hot Takes. So despite my head still reeling from our last batch, we've got some new scorchers to take a look at. You'd think I'd know better than to peer into the cold, soulless abyss of casual NBA fandom by now. But I'm sick. I can't help myself. And I've got nothing better to do. So here we are. Now this first one, some people are not going to be happy with. This NBA fan says, in terms of excitement, Steph is this generation's Jordan. And I agree.
When I watch other people, I know there's gonna be a lot more boring moments in that game, like just pick and roll, switch. I watch Steph Curry and the Warriors. It's a lot more fun and entertaining than watching let's see what's a mid team. Watching a Brooklyn Nets game, like, or a Grizzlies game. And actually, never mind. Without John Morant on the team, like, I'm getting more excitement over watching how the Warriors play as a whole and how Steph Curry can just shoot from 40. Yeah, that's probably a great take. Ain't gonna lie.
Steph may not be this generation's best player, but when it comes to drawing eyes and attention and putting on an absolute show, there's no one that does it like Stephen Curry. The deep threes, the antics, the fact that he's still on the same team that drafted him. It all adds to the Steph experience that fans across the globe love about watching him play. This man has kids on the other side of the planet rocking his jersey trying to knock down look-away threes. This relatively small, unassuming athlete who wasn't a superstar recruit, rising through the NBA ranks and winning titles amongst giants. How can you not love the guy? Is there anything as thrilling as watching Steph come down the court? Defense absolutely scrambling, trying, hoping they can stall the inevitable. But it's too late. Steph is pulling up from 30 feet, and the outcome is already set in stone.
Curry, long distance.
Like, people have to guard this man like in a game winning situation. I've seen the entire team on Stephen Curry. I've seen the Suns do it. I've seen the Clippers have to do it. Like, bro, four people on Curry and they trying to stop him from scoring basketball. Like,
It's bang!
There's just nothing like it. The fans love Steph. He's the people's champ. And I agree that in terms of excitement, he is this generation's Jordan. Now, with Nikola Jokic making a run for his third straight league MVP, the man is on track to making NBA history. But with all that success has come more scrutiny for his shortcomings. Some of these critiques are absolutely ridiculous, and some might be warranted. A couple days ago, Stephen A. Smith said that Jokic potentially winning back-to-back-to-back league MVPs, despite his lack of playoff success, is almost criminal, questioning the validity of his awards. And like many fans of the NBA, this guy feels that this criticism of Jokic isn't fair because he's always made the most of what he's been given in the playoffs year after year. And I understand this line of thinking. I mean, the MVP is a regular season award after all, so the playoffs really shouldn't be brought up in this discussion. But
I'm about to say, like, it does not matter. Like, it if someone matters, after like the voters next year, but it is a regular season award. So if I'm Russell Westbrook and I face a good team, like 2017, and I face the James Harden Rockets, who are a better team than me, what am I supposed to do? Am I just supposed to be how much in an all time great can I be, even though my roster is bad? But you know, it's my fault, and that's why I shouldn't be an MVP this year. Like that makes no sense to me because the Giannis won back to back, and after he won after he lost to the Heat, like bro, people on Twitter saying, "Hey, he's not winning another MVP because he's not growing as a player." So there's no everybody knew there was no way he was winning a third MVP if he just unless he just averaged 50, 20, and 10 just to improve his point. But Jokic has done. Can I say more than Giannis? He hasn't done more than Giannis in the same 3 year peak. It's just the fact that like I guess the first two were like he had bad teams, and then now he's a good team. He's averaging a lot more points, so he deserves all three MVPs, and they are legit. It's a regular season award, and he's the one of the like for you can make an argument that he was the best player. You can make an argument he's the best player this year for like a good 3 month period because Giannis was mediocre in that point for Giannis standards. And last year you can make that argument.
But it is, and it always has been. Since the beginning of time, NBA fans have used the playoffs as a bit of a litmus test to try to validate or invalidate regular season MVPs. It's practically a rite of passage for any all-time great player, and Nikola Jokic should be no exception of this. Must we not forget, Giannis was getting eviscerated for coming up short in the postseason after winning back-to-back MVPs.
The straight disrespect on Twitter that week. Oh my God.
When people called LeBron a choke artist for winning 2 MVPs but failing to win a championship. Or when Kobe was stiffed out of possibly multiple MVPs because the Lakers just weren't a real contender at the time. You can give me all the excuses in the world, and it won't really make a difference because no other all-time great player was granted any excuses either. If a player wants to ascend to all-time great status, he will be held to an all-time great standard. The man is on track to winning his 3rd straight MVP, and he hasn't even made the NBA Finals. This is unprecedented. Now, is this criticism unjust? Maybe, but why should Jokic be spared from intense criticism when no other great player was? We've seen voter fatigue and narratives and postseason failures prevent countless players from winning the regular season MVP. Why is Jokic exempt from this same standard? Once a player receives a certain level of praise, no excuse will be sufficient in explaining why they haven't won a ring, or even come close for that matter. This is how it's all.
It's still a bad. Like I understand where he's coming from, but that's still a bad thing. That's still like a bad way to view somebody over not having playoff success over an award.
Ago, Damian Lillard put on an absolute clinic when he scored 71 points against the Rockets. 71 points. The man hit 13 threes and was a perfect 14 for 14 from the line. He did it all. I mean, this was a masterpiece from Dame. But leave it up to NBA fans to find the fault in this performance because, according to some fans, Dame's 71 points weren't all that impressive since he did it against one of the worst defensive teams in the league. You heard that correctly. Scoring 71 points in an NBA game is no longer impressive if you do it against a bad defensive team. And this take is so unhinged that I almost don't want to even address it. But
I ain't gonna lie, you probably shouldn't have addressed this tweet because this is people hating. This is just pure hating. Regardless of the good defense or bad defense, dropping 71 points, even on the bum Rockets, like who just it's just a terrible team as a whole. Like, even though it's like, the Rockets are an NBA level team this year. Because I think there's probably people in China that could beat the Rockets this year. They were pretty bad. I ain't gonna lie. What's that 49ers team that beat the Phoenix Suns in the preseason could probably beat this Rockets team in 7. But like legit, 71 points in the NBA game is still impressive. It's not my fault that your defense was so bad that I dropped 71 on the entire franchise. Like it's not my fault. It's just people gawking somebody over no reason. Like it just pure hate.
Playing on a little.
Wait, sorry. Last time was imagine dropping 70 points, and that was the only 70 points, and like only 8 players in NBA dropped 70 points at that point. and you say it's a bad 70. So when Carmelo Anthony played the Rockets, it was a bad like 60-point game. Like, bro, it doesn't really matter. Dropping high value numbers on bad teams, it's just gonna happen because because people face bad teams all the time and they're barely going for 40. And sometimes they don't even hit 30 points on a bad team.
Secret. But you can't tell anyone I told you this. Most big games throughout NBA history are against bad defensive teams. Surprise! Pretty crazy, right? Wilt's 100-point game in 1962 was against the Knicks, who were the second worst defensive team in the league at the time. Kobe Bryant's 81 in 2006 was against the Raptors, who were also the second worst defensive team in the league. And David Thompson's 73 in 1978 was against the Pistons, who were the ninth worst defensive team in the league at the time. In fact, this is the case with nearly every all-time big scoring night throughout NBA history. LeBron's career high was against the Bobcats, who were the worst defensive team in the league. Shaq's career high was against the Clippers, who were also the worst defensive team in the league. Steph's career high was against the third worst defensive team in the league, and Michael Jordan's career high was against the ninth worst defensive team in the league at the time. Even Donovan Mitchell's 71 earlier this season was against the fifth worst defense in the entire NBA. It's like some fans have to search for a reason to discredit some players. Dame could have scored 71 on the worst defensive team ever, and it still would have been an incredible accomplishment. You could put...
I'm about to say, you still have to hit your shots. Hitting from the logo on any team is still difficult. Even if the logo gets JV kids, still gonna be difficult for some NBA players.
Put me in front of your local youth league championship team, and I couldn't score 71 points in 39 minutes. Every season, every single player gets a shot to go crazy on bad defensive teams. There has been thousands of opportunities for players to use these bad teams as their punching bag, and yet only 3 players have ever topped this 71-point explosion from Dame. This performance was historic, and this take is horrendous. Now, this fan here says Michael Jordan is sensitive, but he gets a pass because he's good at basketball. And I agree with half of this take. Michael Jordan was sensitive. People will excuse his behavior as competitive, but everyone in the NBA is competitive. Jordan couldn't take criticism whatsoever. In fact, his famous quote is literally a statement of how things people did and said about him really got to him. But he didn't get a pass just because he was good at basketball. He gets a pass because every time someone pissed him off, he always went out and proved them wrong. They said Clyde Drexler was his equal. He didn't like that, and so he went out and stomped the man in the NBA Finals. They said he wasn't as good when he came back from his first retirement, so he added that to his list of reasons to be an absolute menace and three-peated for the second time. You can be as
There's literally a decade worth of footage of Michael Jordan owning everybody in that decade. There are people that in the 90s that didn't win a championship because Michael Jordan existed in his lifetime. That's all we really need to say about that take.
sensitive as you want, if you back it up. I think most NBA fans would consider Kevin Durant sensitive, but if he followed up his tweets with more championships and absolute dominance over the NBA for the rest of his career, those tweets would be an afterthought. Now, our last take is a scorcher, and not even for a split second does it add up in any way, shape, or form. This NBA fan says, "Back then, we used to celebrate three-peats. Now kids are out here celebrating 4 titles in 10 tries and call it greatness." This is so fucking stupid. Now, clearly, this is referring to LeBron James, to which I genuinely ask this fan, and fans who think like this, do you really think LeBron's career hasn't been great? I mean,
Like, bro, even though LeBron's four-player movement, you can literally not like win a three-peat in this era. Like the Warriors had Stephen Curry, KD, Clay, and Draymond Green, and legit. The next year, guess what happens after they won that 2017 championship? The Rockets and Houston legit formed an all-time great NBA roster, and we're just 27 missed threes away from being in the finals. That's how good like free agency has been for like teams to build a championship level roster in one off season, like dead ass. It's very hard to like repeat in this era when in Michael Jordan era and Kobe Bryant era, you're with that team for at least 5 to 8 years. At least 5 to 8 years. That's no longer the case. After your rookie contract is done, you can do whatever you want. After your rookie extension, I mean, it's very hard to go to different teams. Everybody's friendly with each other, and they can do whatever they want. Like winning three-peating in this era probably won't happen. Like it won't be a team in the next 20 years that's going to three-peat. I promise you that.
Really? Is it possible that we can celebrate any ring that any player wins at any time? Or has the bar been established so high that if you aren't three-peating, it isn't truly greatness? All right, everyone. New rule. No celebrating rings or titles or MVPs or big or small successes anymore. We are only celebrating three-peats. Dirk's ring wasn't great. The Bum only won one in 21 years. Boston's ring in 08, worthless. Raptors
Calling him a bum is crazy. I ain't gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie.
in 2019, bums. Bucks in 2021, Giannis and the gang, bums. We don't celebrate that. Get that out of here. I just can't believe some fans actually think like this. I mean, according to this logic, no one in the entire NBA right now should be celebrated. We need to drop this whole rings or bust discourse altogether. It's just silly, and it's a bad faith argument to discredit really awesome players. In fact, this same fan goes on to share posts celebrating the greatness of players like Damian Lillard and John Stockton, who've never won a ring. And most ironic of all, this fan goes on to say that the 80
Whoa. Say you get mad at players for not three-peating, but you celebrate John Stockton, basketball John. Hey yo, this man does not. Consistency is key, guys. Consistency is key when you're making takes or claims.
89 Cleveland Cavaliers were the greatest team in franchise history, literally describing a team that was bounced out of the first round of the playoffs as the greatest. So not only is this line of thinking flat out wrong, it's disingenuous. A player doesn't need to pull off the greatest feat in the history of the game to be great. Greatness
The Mark Price Cavs didn't win anything, but they were that team over the LeBron Cavs that won a championship.
This comes in many different shapes and forms, and apparently, so do takes on the NBA. And unfortunately, that's all the racking my brain can handle in one sitting. But y'all know the drill. Leave a comment with your hottest NBA take. The hotter, the better, or worse. Hope you all enjoyed. And as always, until next time.
Well, thank you guys. It's what KFB23 on the YT, and I'll see you guys later. It's a great video. Please subscribe to this channel and Mars too. I'm out. Peace.